that's working with me today turn around and show you just the line of people who are all behind here. You have all kinds of folks who are walking a half a mile or more just to get to the police barricade in order to get some sort of information about where to get their kids. We're, again, about a half a mile away from Eagle Stadium at Wilmer-Hutchins. And so, again, you can hear tensions are flaring with these parents trying to talk to law enforcement behind them. And you can understand that they're trying to protect the scene. They're trying to protect the investigation and make sure everyone's safe. One of those parents who's here is Janet Garcia. We had a chance to connect. Her daughter, Aaliyah, is a student at Wilmer-Hutchins. And kind of take me back to that moment when you got the call.
I was at the grocery store, just getting my groceries, getting stuff done so I could come home and make dinner. And she calls me. She's in and out because the school. And she's like, "Mom, there's a shooting. There's a shooting." And I'm like, "What's going on?" It hung up. I haven't been able to reach her since then. But she sounded okay. She said she was safe. She said that they moved them to the stadium, I'm assuming, and she's safe. But oh my goodness, just my heart drops because we hear about this all the time. And I'm just like, oh, not my baby, because that leaves a mark in our kids' heads. Like it's a mental thing as much as it is for them to come to school tomorrow. Like, how are they going to face this? How are they going to, see their I just hope the school has a good counseling program or something, because these kids are going to definitely need it after this.
Now, Janet, when we first kind of started talking, I mean, your hands right now are still shaking.
Oh, yes, because I just still don't know if she's okay. Until I see my baby, like flesh, blood, like her body, I'm going to be like this. I want to make sure she's okay. She's my baby. She's my oldest. She's a very smart kid, very responsible kid. So it just hurts me. Like,
how long have you been here? How would you describe the scene with all of these parents and families trying to get these kids out?
Look, me and my boyfriend tried to go around, and they said no. We tried to go through the elementary school. They said no. They said, come down this road and you'll be able to go see go get them. But I understand the police, and I understand they're still doing their thing. So I'm being patient. But I understand it. Like, I understand me wanting. I'm just like these parents trying to be calm, and I want to lash out, but it's not the time. But I really hope they start giving us more information. That would be a little bit more. It would give me more peace of mind.
This has happened before here at Wilmer-Hutchins. What's your message for the school, for administrators about situations like this, and what you parents are going through out here right now?
I understand this is my daughter's first year. I moved from Fort Worth to Hutchins, and I understand their protocols. They have metal detectors. My kid was shocked when she was like, "I have to wear a clear backpack, Mom," and I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, I have to go through metal detectors every day." I just don't understand it. Baby, it's just, I don't understand it either. I'm trying to make it make sense to her. And even as a grown adult, I don't understand why this is happening. Even in the school system, why my kid has to go through school with a backpack that's clear, always having these, I just hope they have a way to help these kids get educated when it comes to gun violence. It is such a big thing, and we've been going through this, not just here in Dallas and every other state. It's happened. And this is why we're so frantic, because we've seen what it could cause. We've seen what damage it does to a community, to a city, to anywhere. So I just really hope they implement more to educate these kids. It's not the answer. It's not the answer.
Just one more, Janet. When you see Aaliyah and she comes out after all this is over.
I am I'm gonna feel like my whole body's gonna be okay. Like, right now, I just feel shaky. I don't feel like I'm okay. I feel like a little lost. But I'm definitely. We're gonna have a moment. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a moment. Even for her, I think she's very strong-minded. But this type of situation, I don't think she understands it. I don't think she comprehends it as well. So I really hope the district does a little bit more when it comes to this type of situations. But I hope so.
Janet, thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much.
Like I mentioned to you guys earlier, man, there are probably 40 to 50 cars lining this street in front of me. Families a little bit further, not too far out of the view of our cameras. You've seen moms up here, dads, grandparents, siblings, all just trying to get access to the kids. Now, the last update we did hear from law enforcement that's kind of protecting the scene right now is that once they're able to secure whatever the scene is, make sure everything is okay at the school and at the stadium, and they can figure out which kids belong to who, these families are going to be able to show their identification and take their kids home. The other thing, though, I mentioned how far it is. no one's going to be able to drive. So all of these cars are going to be left here while concerned parents, some who have not been able to talk to their children on the phone since the shooting happened, are waiting up there. So they're going to have to walk all the way up there in hopes that they can show their identification, get their kids, and that they're at this location and not one of the other pickups. Jason, I'm telling you, the biggest concern that these folks have is clear communication, not knowing where to go, and not being able to reach their kids and find out if they're doing all right.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dee. I mean, you showing us that and seeing the parents there lined up, and you can really get a sense of their frustration at having to be forced to wait before getting closer to their child. And then, you know, what you heard Janet talking about her daughter Aaliyah, and it's one of the really good things about the kids having cell phones is the parents are getting information instantaneously as it's happening. They're getting calls. The bad side of that is if you're Janet, you're getting a call from your daughter Aaliyah saying, "Mom, there's been a shooting," and then you don't hear from her and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting, which can be incredibly scary and painful.
And it's obvious why, you know, tensions are flaring from parents, as Dia just mentioned there a moment ago. Let me, you know, we've been on the air for a little bit more than an hour here. And just to reset, if people are just not coming across this, there has been a shooting at Wilmer-Hutchins High School in the southeast corner of the city of Dallas. Interstate 20, Interstate 45 is kind of the location of the school there. It was around the lunch hour when this happened. There were apparently 3 to 6 gunshots, we understand. Students were running. Some took cover in a band room, as Job and Paniker interviewed some witnesses a moment ago. The shooting actually occurred in the hallways, according to sources telling Morgan Young this, one of our investigative reporters. One person was shot in the calf, in the leg area, and is on the way to the hospital at this hour. And it's an initial belief right now, Morgan is telling us, that this might be some type of gang-related incident.
And I do understand Cole Sullivan. We have Cole right now. Cole, you have someone with you.
It looked like they're not in critical condition. You know, there was a outside student who probably opened the door to let someone in. First thing, the school is safe now. Everything is secure. Hopefully that the person who is the suspect probably in custody. I can say that it is a sad day for DISD, and I'm thankful for all the fire department, the police department, the state troopers, the DART, and DISD came to the rescue on a fast pace and secured the school. I think it secures the school is secure. Thank you for getting that the school is safe now.
So, what do you know about injuries to students and potentially or staff?
I think the injury, to my knowledge right now, there is not a life-threatening injury to any of the students, which is a blessing right now. I'm glad that of. Now it's just trying to get the student mind together, you know, try to help them, you know. So I think that we need to pray for the parents and also pray for the student of Wilmer-Hutchins. That is an incident that happened, but we always got to pray and bring the family together and bring the community together.
And you mentioned 3 people, 3 students were injured?
Yes, 3.
Do you know if all 3 were shot?
I can't say that all 3 of them were shot or injured, but I know there were 3 there, and I have not talked to any of the officer. DISD is in control. It's not Dallas Police Department. They're securing, so I got to get clearance from DISD. I did speak to the superintendent. She here, and she is on board, and whatever we need, we at Dallas Police Department, DPD, we're here as a supporting group. Just like the sheriff department, just like the constable department, we are a supporting group.
Sir, your understanding is that the suspect is in custody?
My thing that they are aware of who the suspect is, and I cannot say they're in custody or not.
Okay, 3 people, 3 students injured? Any adults? Any
No,
employees?
to my knowledge, there was 3 student injuries.
Do you have a sense of where in the school this may have occurred? Or?
No, I do not know.
Sir, can you talk about this is the second time. Almost a year ago to this week, we were out here for another shooting at this school. What has gone wrong here that this has happened twice?
Well, I think that
Oh,
you
wow.
cannot over police
I had another
anything.
shooting
You
last
cannot
year.
over police a student. When you enter a building, you have some weak spot in any kind of secure building. That someone can let someone in the building. Someone you think you might know, someone you think you don't know. So I cannot speak of it with technology. So I think with all the technology we got, did we learn from the incident happened before? So do you compare that? So I leave that to the expert to tell us how we can do that.
Just so we're clear on kind of the recap for those who are watching, do you understand is that somebody was allowed into the school that may not go to the school?
Well, I don't know, but someone had to open the door.
That's what you've been told. Someone opened the door.
Yeah, someone. Yeah, that's what I've
This
been
is not a
told.
student who brought a weapon.
No,
to school
no,
that
no.
was
We don't know. Only thing I've been told is someone let the student in.
Thank you, sir. Anything else we need to know?
No, just pray for the students.
Thank you. Thanks very much, sir. I appreciate it. That was Deputy Mayor Tanel Atkins. He's the city councilman who represents this district. He came from the command post to give us that update right now. And he says that someone let the suspect into the school. He's got some information from DPD and also from DISD police. He says that 3 students were injured. He said none of those injuries are life-threatening, but we don't know if those 3 students were shot as well. He says DISD is in control of the situation. Their police department is leading this investigative effort, similar to as what we saw a year ago when this happened before. He says the school is safe now. DISD has told us they're working on a reunification plan for the students who are still inside or at the football stadium behind me. But a tough to hear that 3 students were injured in this incident. We're working to learn the conditions of those students as well. But for now, I'll send it back to you.
Okay, cool. And just to that last point, you mentioned about the reunification. We did just get confirmation from Dallas ISD that parents and guardians can now pick up their students and reunify with their students at Eagles Stadium. That's the stadium right there on Langdon Road. We saw a lot of the students on the bleachers there, hanging out at the stadium where they left after being evacuated from the school. So again, we're getting confirmation. Parents are now being allowed to reunify with their children. You can see some of the students there on the bleachers there. So if you are a family member, if you know someone impacted by this, let them know that they are now being allowed to go to Eagles Stadium to be reunified with their child.
And Dallas ISD is also asking those parents to bring a photo ID with them, and there are counselors on site, the district says, if they are needed. Let's go now to Jobin Puneker. He has some new information from Dallas Fire Rescue.
If you're just joining, there has been
I just got a chance to talk with
shooting
David
at a
Evans.
hospital
As you can
in
imagine, it's a
Dallas
very
that
fluid
school
situation
has been
here.
secured.
So we're trying to catch people as they're walking in and out of this scene. You see David Evans here now walking. I just had a chance to talk with him really briefly. He's passing our screen right now. He's the PIO for Dallas Fire Rescue. He tells me, here's what we have. 4 people have been taken to nearby hospitals, all non-life-threatening injuries. 4 people taken to the hospital, all non-life-threatening injuries. I asked if they were all students. He says he does not have that information at this point. 3 of those victims have been taken to Baylor Hospital. 1 victim has been taken to Methodist. That's what we're hearing so far here at the scene. Again, 4 non-life-threatening injuries, 3 taken to Baylor, 1 taken to Methodist. We'll try to get some more information and bring it back to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Jobin. Again, we have multiple crews there on the scene now. I want to get out to my colleague, Brittany Moncrief. Give us an idea, Brittany, sort of where you are in terms of the school and what you're seeing and hearing out there right now.
Right. Well, we're actually on the back end of the school. We're right between the Wilmer-Hutchins High School and the elementary school. And here we have some students that are actually waiting outside and parents waiting outside to reunite with students. We just talked with the student a little while ago. She was a bit shaken up, so she didn't want to go on camera. But if we can pan over to the high school there, she told us that she was in her English class, which is on the far end of the high school, when she heard about 5 gunshots go off. That's when a group of the high school students ran out of the school and ran over to the elementary school where we are right now. And that's why we have some high school students who are here. Again, there's parents that are waiting right outside the door here of the elementary school, here to pick up their children. Also, just those high school students. Now one has reunited with her mother. And we again tell you that she's very shaken up about this. She said she heard those gunshots and it was coming from where she says sounded like near the cafeteria area, but she wasn't for sure. All she knows is that when she heard at least 5 gunshots, she said she and other students in her English class took off running and they came here to the elementary school. And so we do see a line of parents. Last year, when there was an incident, a shooting that happened here at Wilmer-Hutchins High School, this was the area where a lot of parents were picking up students. So we're back at this same location here. You can see the long line of vehicles. These are parents waiting to reunite with their students. We've been seeing some walk over. And again, it's important to realize too that with the elementary school and high school students, some of these parents have students that are at both schools. So some are coming over this way, hoping to reunite with their students as well.
Brittany, that's good information. Thanks for that. And just to reiterate what we learned a moment ago, Chris, from Job and from Cole and from the Mayor Pro Tem Tanel Atkins, who represents District 8 there, the southeast side of the city. 4 people injured. We were getting that from our sources a little earlier too. Mm-hmm. The good news here is these are non-life-threatening injuries, but there's something important there with what Job had found out. 3 of those 4 went to Baylor, downtown Baylor Scott and White, which is a level 1 trauma center. They would naturally go there just in case.
Proximity.
It's the closest level 1 trauma center.
Maybe.
The other patient went to Methodist Hospital in North Oak Cliff there in the Bishop Arts area, kind of Kessler Park area too. That too is a level 1 trauma center. They kind of spread things out. But the good news is these are non-life-threatening injuries. Only one of those 4, to our understanding from our reporters in the field, was shot, and that person was shot in the leg. But again, all non-life-threatening injuries. What's substantial to me here is the Mayor Pro Tem Tanel Atkins telling Cole Sullivan and other reporters a moment ago that this security failure here appears to have been a student opening a locked door to let someone inside. Just like John Matthews told us earlier in our coverage here, you can't secure scenes 100%. Mm-hmm. It's like we saw in Uvalde. Someone left a locked door open. What do you do in those situations? You can put every security measure in. Lawmakers, law enforcement, everyone tells me this. You can put all of it in. But if you have one person that does one thing, that can trip up the entire system.
Yeah, it's hard to account in full for human error.
Sure.
And I know just for my own kids and the active shooter drills that they go through and the security protocols that are sort of drilled into them from the moment they set foot on campus, it's, you don't open those doors, that you ask for ID, and there's all these protocols, but it cannot account for a student simply opening a door. And we don't know exactly, right. We have not confirmed from law enforcement that was exactly how the person got into the school, or if someone from outside the school definitely made it inside in that way. But again, that is what the District 8 council member is hearing from what he's been told so far.
4 people injured, 3 of them taken to Baylor Scott and White in downtown Dallas, and that's where Kevin Reese is right now. Kevin, what can you tell us?
Hearing the same numbers that you are, Jason, that 3 of those victims with those non-life-threatening injuries were brought here to Baylor. We're outside the ER. For those of you who don't know, this is on the Deep Ellum side of downtown Dallas. We're at Worth and Hall Streets. We will show you one perhaps indicator here. We've been told that some of these victims have already been brought to Baylor here in Deep Ellum. There is what appears to be a rather unusually large police presence, not just with hospital security, but with DPD as well, outside the emergency room here at Baylor Scott and White. We are still waiting to hear from the hospital itself, although they are directing most of our questions back to Dallas police. But we can tell you that there were no people brought here by helicopter. The injuries were not considered that serious. People were being brought here. 3, we have been told, brought here by ground ambulance with those non-life-threatening injuries. And then the other victim, a 4th victim, taken to Methodist on the other side of town, south of I-30. But as we look here, many ambulances have come and gone. This is a very busy location, regardless of what is going on in the city of Dallas. But right now, we are being told that 3 of the victims, we don't know if those are teenagers or adults, brought here, and a 4th also with non-life-threatening injuries taken to Methodist on the south side of Dallas. Back to you.
All right. Kevin Reese, thank you for that perspective as well. We'll check back in with you in just a second, but I want to look back in with Dia Wall, because she was standing there as a lot of the parents were waiting to be able to let through the checkpoint, to be able to get reunited with their children. Dia, what's the situation right now?
Well, they just moved us, y'all. So we were closer to where this line of parents has started to form, who are all trying to get there, because the kids, it looks like, are inside Eagle Stadium. But we're backed off because they don't want us on school property. So we have to scoot back. But as you can see, I would estimate there may be close to 100 or more parents out here waiting to get the kids. Now, you may remember I told you that they're going to have to come up, they're going to have to show their ID, and then they're going to have to match them to the kids who are there to be released. But the scene, as far as where they're going to be releasing these kids, is pretty large right now. You have that line, the street that was blocked off down there, about a half a mile. But then if you swing around all the way on the other side, you can see here's the elementary school, it looks like, and some of the other parent reunifications that are happening. You see the emergency vehicles. I mean, they're lined up probably for a mile on the street, but you're seeing some of the hugs from afar. You're starting to see, we just saw a mom walk by who said, you know, she already had her baby, she said, but she was helping a new parent at the school figure out how to navigate this, how to go get their child after the shooting earlier this afternoon. And so we're starting to see some of the folks come out after those reunifications, but this process is moving pretty slow. So we're going to do our best to kind of find some more people and bring them to you. And when we do, we'll hop back on.
Okay, thank you, Dia. Yeah, that elementary school is literally like 2/10 of a mile from the high school. It's right down Lemon Road from where the high school is.
Yeah, just on the south side of Wilmer-Hutchins High School. Brittany Moncrief is there. She was there a few moments ago, and she is talking to parents now. A pretty dramatic story you're hearing right now, Brittany. Tell us about it.
That's right. We actually are with Lawrence, whose son is in the school, and he actually was one of those students who ran when he heard the gunshots and jumped out the window and came here to the elementary school. Lawrence, tell me a little bit of what your son was telling you.
Well, he told me he was in class in the A hall. He heard 2 to 6 shots ring out coming from around the B hall. So his teacher, whose class he was in, closed the door, in which allowed him and more students to jump out the window and seek shelter at the school next door.
As a parent, how are you feeling that your son just went through this?
Yeah, my oldest boy, he just went through it when he was a senior here last year, so now his brother is going through it as a freshman. You know, something has to be done. And then, yeah, and all of the kids now, you know, at the stadium, and parents are having a hard time at getting to their kids to pick them up. So, like, it's just, yeah, it's things all over the place.
Yeah, I see you shaking your head. Is there frustration there?
Yeah, of course. Like, it's 2 years in a row. Like, something has to be done. There's such, like, you know, you go to drop off something, you got to show your ID, you got to go through several things to get in as parents. But, like, now, you know, a gunman can slide through the crack, I guess.
Yeah, and how are you feel? I know your son is safe. You were able to reunite with him.
Yeah. All is well now for me, but, you know, I can't say the same for all the other parents out here.
And then thank you again for speaking with us. And I'm glad you are safe and your son is safe and that you all were able to reunite back with each other. So, and that's just one of the many stories that we're finding here. Again, over at the elementary school, there's a group of high school students who immediately took off running when they heard those gunshots go off, and they ran here to the elementary. And that's where there's a line of parents still waiting to reunite with their children. Some of them high school students, some of them are the elementary schools. And we'll stand out here and continue to talk to parents and students as more are reunited with their families. Chris?
And Brittany, just a quick question. I just want to go back to something that he just said. He had a son at school last year, senior year. He goes through a school shooting, rushes to the school, makes sure his son is okay. The son graduates. His younger child is now a freshman, and he's back at the very same school going through the exact same thing. It's hard to understand how that could happen.
It is, Chris. And, there's a lot of questions that parents have here. And that one question there is how? How could this happen again? As you mentioned, this one parent, his son went through it last year, his senior year, and now his freshman son is going through the same thing. And it's almost just 3 days after the date from last year, which was April 12th. We're April 15th. And so this is almost just a year later, a similar incident has happened again. So naturally, parents are frustrated and they have a lot of questions and they want to know why.
Brittany, you were outside the elementary school. I believe it's just right around the corner from you, right there. I'm sure it went on lockdown as soon as this happened at the high school, which is just north of it. There, they share the same property. But is it regular dismissal, from what you can tell, there at the elementary school as well?
From what I can tell, and we can actually pan over to show you some of the elementary school here. Right now, we haven't seen any of the elementary school students come out that we've seen. There's a few students out there, but we're not sure if they were brought out from in this particular school. Mostly those that are standing near the door there are parents. And another student told me that the parents are waiting there so that way they can get to their children. But we haven't quite yet seen a lot of people with their children and reuniting with their children over there. Not a lot of movement, but definitely on this side, there's parents that's been walking. They've been walking all up and through between the elementary school and the high school. And some of them have been able to reunite with their students, but then there's others that are still waiting. And so that's where we're standing right now. We'll keep an eye on that elementary school too. And we haven't had a chance to go over there just yet, but we're going to go over there to see if any of the students have been able to reunite with their families and their parents on the elementary school side as well.
Brittany, good work. It's Brittany Moncrief out there. She is in between the high school at Wilmer-Hutchins and the elementary school there. Great work. Last year this time, Chris, you and I were talking about, hearing from Dr. Stephanie Elizalde, who's the superintendent, fantastic superintendent at Dallas ISD. But I think one of her quotes last year was, "Dallas got lucky today." And here we are a year later, Dallas got lucky again. At some point, if something's not done, luck is going to run out. And that speaks to why Dia is hearing so much tension from parents out there waiting to be reunified, why Brittany just heard that as well too, and why so many parents, not only at the high school, but right behind at the elementary school, are no doubt scared to death when this news happened right after lunch.
Yeah, I mean, they got the reassurances last year.
Right.
They had the community meetings with Maxie Johnson, the Dallas ISD trustee, who tried to bring some folks together to talk about what could be done to improve security. So after hearing it last year and then a year later, you're going through the same thing. Frustration probably is too nice of a word for how they're feeling right now. We did just get a statement from Congressman Jasmine Crockett. Naturally, she says she is heartbroken to learn of yet another shooting at Wilmer-Hutchins. She said that no child should fear for their life at school. No teacher should have to barricade a classroom door. And let me be clear, this is not normal. This is not acceptable. So again, that's Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett talking about what's happened today at Wilmer-Hutchins.
So here we are about 3 hours after this incident happened. There are 4 people who are injured. 3 of them are at Baylor, Scott and White, downtown Dallas, non-life-threatening injuries. 1 is at Methodist Hospital in North Oak Cliff, non-life-threatening as well too. We understand at least 1 of those 4 people were shot. How that suspect, who apparently police know who that is, according to the mayor pro tem of Dallas, Tanel Atkins, how that suspect got into the school or got a firearm into the school is still kind of up in the air. The mayor pro tem said he was told by law enforcement that someone opened a locked door at that school to allow somebody inside. If that is the case, it's certainly another situation that the school district is going to have to figure out how to get this settled. This happened right after lunch, though, and here we are 3 hours later, and it's going to be an active scene for hours to come. A few ways you can tell that. We saw a few moments ago in the helicopter footage, tables set up right in the front. A crate of water, a pallet full of water is out there too. So as parents are coming to reunify with their students, you see there on the bleachers at the football stadium on the south side of Wilmer-Hutchins High School, it is going to be a long investigative night for Dallas police, for Dallas ISD police, for Wilmer Police, for Dallas County, everyone else who's helping out with this. We understand the ATF is even there just to lend a hand if necessary. So federal agents from downtown Dallas have also gone down there to help in this situation, to get to the bottom of how a student was shot at Wilmer-Hutchins. The best news of all this is that student is non-life threatening. It's not a critical shooting, but still parents have answers, have questions, and they deserve answers.
Yeah, and as you take a look now at some of the students who are lined up there on some of the bleachers there, Eagles Stadium is the reunification point for parents who want to reunite and take their child home. Again, Eagles Stadium right there on Langdon Road. That is the site that's been designated as the point where parents can now go there. And as long as you have an ID to show the officials, that you can then bring your child home. Let's get back out to the scene. We have different reporters at different areas of the school and the campus. Let's get back to Cole Sullivan for a look and update and what you're seeing now, Cole.
We're still seeing some confusion out here, Chris. I want to kind of step out of the way so you can see parents are still waiting to figure out when they can pick up their students or trying to find the right place to do so. And we just saw this group walk through. These are parents who were over near the elementary school, as Brittany just pointed out. They had been told, some of them, to get in their cars and drive all the way around this campus to the backside to the football field where they can pick up their students. Now it appears that police have changed at least that path and are bringing a group of these parents across the kind of field in front of the school, walking them over towards the football field where they can be reunified with their students. These are groups of parents who were gathered outside of the elementary school. Some students, it appears, who were also outside of the elementary school, maybe who had gone over that direction. They're walking over this way. This is a change from what we saw just 3, 4, 5 minutes ago, where officers were pointing, telling parents they have to drive around the other direction in order to get their kids, and parents were not happy with that. Some said they had been told by other officers to come to this south end of campus. Some said that they were just trying to get to their kid. They wanted to get to their kid this direction. Officers were saying, sorry, we can't help you. And we even had some parents shouting expletives as they marched away from these officers who told them to walk, to go the other direction. This was one of the things that we heard from parents in the immediate aftermath of the shooting a year ago this week at this school, upset about the reunification process and the response to that process. Now we can see this slowly but surely starting to play out here live on this front field in front of the campus as parents are being led across towards that football field to be with their students. And look, you can see some are even being turned away from that football field now and told to walk in this other direction. I'm sure as parents, that's a frustrating thing to see happen when you know your kids are over there, to be able to walk over this direction. We're trying to see, you can see this as you are, so we're trying to see where they're directing these parents to go, walking around and in front of the school now, towards the front of the school here. You see one mom out in front running as fast as she can over that direction, like she's trying to get to her kid as fast as possible. As you might understand, all of these parents feel at this point, kind of on a little bit of a roundabout loop to trying to get to where authorities here are pointing them towards. This process, I'm going to be honest, just watching it play here does not look orderly, as parents are kind of roaming through campus right now. It appears walking through towards the front of the campus and trying to get to their kids. They're walking now the opposite direction from that stadium. Not sure if maybe their children are in a different location and walking through this, but from a perspective of seeing all the authorities and law enforcement here, some are escorting them along the side, trying to walk them this direction. We also saw what appeared to be teachers as well with badges on who are walking with them this direction. This was something that had apparently been worked out in front of the elementary school before they all marched over this direction and were escorted underneath that crime scene tape, and are now, as you can see, kind of all marching their way in front of Wilmer-Hutchins High School here. This is just one aspect of what's going to be playing out over the next few hours, which is reunification of parents and students and loved ones who are trying to figure out what to do and where they can go. You see this mom here carrying a small child as she's trying to walk this direction to get as fast as she can to her kids and to her loved ones here on the campus of Wilmer-Hutchins. Something that, like I said, we're going to see playing out over the next few hours as well. We'll keep an eye on it and keep you updated on what we hear from the district about the proper plans for reunification as well. For now, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Cole. And yeah, there's always some element of confusion in a situation like this. I mean, blood is running high. There's a lot of anxiety, and officials may be making decisions about reunification or this checkpoint or that checkpoint, but is that filtering down to the actual officer who is there at that particular corner? So it appears, at least, that it appears like it's worked out now, and we see a more steady stream of parents going in now.
And you could have, police protecting evidence in a certain area too. I know there was some talk about maybe something happened on the south end of the school, which is where the stadium is too. So maybe that could be one of the reasons. The reunification, though, does appear to be playing out a heck of a lot better than it did last year. That was a big complaint that a lot of parents had. And one last thing to add here too, we understand just within the last half hour, a moment of silence happened on the floor of the House of Representatives in Austin, thinking about everyone who was involved today.
All right, we're going to wrap our coverage here on air now. We're going to return you to your regular scheduled program. Look for us back on WFAA News at 4.
And we're on a WFAA Plus right now.
All right, we want to welcome those of you who may have been watching us on air, but we're on WFAA Plus, our streaming app now. And I think this is really a good time now to sort of reset what we have seen this afternoon. The initial calls of this incident came in just after 1 o'clock. So about 1:05, the 911 call started going out, and they came in to first responders as an active shooter call.
And this happened at Wilmer-Hutchins High School. It's a Dallas ISD school. It's on the southeast side of the city of Dallas, around Interstate 45 and Interstate 20, to kind of give you your bearings of where it is in the city here. This shooting call went out, and obviously police raced there from a number of agencies. Dallas Police, Dallas ISD Police already had an officer on the scene from our understanding. Wilmer Police, ATF agents, federal agents are there now too. Transit Police from DART are there. Everyone rushes to the scene. The bottom line is they found out after, getting things settled here, 4 people got injured. Now, it's important to delineate this here because of the 4, only 1 person was shot, and that 1 person who was shot was apparently struck by a bullet in the leg in the calf area, and that's where that person was hit. 3 of those people went to Baylor Scott and White in downtown Dallas, the Deep Ellum side of downtown Dallas, which is a level 1 trauma center. The other patient went to Methodist Hospital in North Oak Cliff. The good news is all of those people have non-life-threatening injuries.
Yeah, we have a team of reporters, both here in the newsroom, folks making calls, talking to their sources with various law enforcement agencies. We now have 2 sources that have confirmed to WFAA that authorities do not have the suspect in custody. So 2 sources confirming to WFAA that at this point, they do not have the suspect in custody. I want to get back out now live to my colleague, Dia Wall. You've been out there, Dia, watching sort of the frustration mounting as parents waited to be reunited with their children. What's happening now?
So right now, we are starting to see a very slow trickle, guys, of families who are being released, including some students that I just so happen to run into here, 2 young ladies who go to Wilmer-Hutchins. First, how are you both doing?
I'm okay. I'm just glad I didn't get hurt.
Talk to me about the scene inside the school when all this started happening.
Oh yeah, we was up in the cafeteria and we just heard 5 gunshots and we got scared. We just started running.
If you could describe the moment inside the school for everybody, I know you said you started running, but what about everybody else?
Some of us ducked, some of us ran, some forgot their stuff, but I feel like we all made it out safely.
So then it's been hours. You guys are just now getting released to your family. I mean, what has the feeling been for you?
You said what's the feeling like getting released? Oh yeah, They should have released us like earlier. Well, I knew it was safety, but I kind of didn't want to go home because I was scared. It was traumatizing.
I'm sure you guys have seen reports of school shootings before, but to know it happened inside and multiple people, your classmates are hurt. How does that feel?
That's like scary. Like I wouldn't want it happening to me, and I feel bad for the people that did get hurt.
For you, what would your message be for all the families at home who are watching that, like, this is really a part of your story and your history now?
Be safe because you never know what might happen. It could be you just let your child go to school, and it could just be a shooting that could be hurt. Just be safe out here.
I know you said you heard 5 or 6 gunshots, right? But did it happen in the cafeteria?
No, it was like it sounded like it was in the hallway. Like I don't know, but it was near, but I don't know.
Do you have any indication? Has there been any conversation about what led up to this, an argument, anything?
No, not that I know of. I don't know anything. I just heard the gunshots.
In those frantic moments when you guys are running, do you remember the first person you saw once you stopped hearing the gunshots?
I saw her. I just went to my closest friends, make sure they were okay.
What were those first few seconds like after?
It was scary. Like I didn't know what to do. I kind of started crying because it was so scary.
Who'd you call?
I called my mama.
Tell me what that conversation was like.
I was telling her that they shot, and she was like, and she was scared, and she didn't know what to do. So she sounded like.
Look, I know this is a lot to process, and you guys are just happy to be able to leave and go home.
Because I'm happy to go home. Like I am so happy.
I'm gonna let you ladies go, okay? Thank you for taking the time. So like I was mentioning, man, we may see one family, one group come out every 60 to 90 seconds or so. As you can imagine, it's taken a while to check IDs, get the kids reunited. And I know you may see that young lady laughing, but a lot of these kids that I've talked to, they don't know how to necessarily process this, right? If you're sitting in the cafeteria having your regular lunch on a Tuesday and you hear 5 or 6 gunshots, some people flee, some people duck, you have no idea what's going on, hard to orient yourself. They've just been really kind of struggling to figure it all out. And so we want to give them a little bit of grace. But I'm telling you guys, this has been a hectic, confusing process for families who just want to see their kids, right? A lot of folks in the South will say, just lay eyes on their baby, right? That's what we're watching happen. But again, we're pushed back a little bit. We're going to try to get some more families to bring to you. And as soon as we have more context, any more information, or any more reunions, we'll bring them to you here live.
All right. Thank you, Dia. Yeah, as the father of a teenager, I can tell you their outward reactions are not always indicative of what they're feeling inside. So,
yeah, and no doubt, 4 people, potentially their classmates, are in Dallas hospitals right now at this hour at 3 o'clock with some different injuries. Most of the 4, 3 of the 4 actually went to Baylor Scott and White in downtown Dallas. Kevin Reese is there right now. Kevin.
Yeah, we do understand that 3 of those victims from Wilmer-Hutchins were brought here to Baylor Scott and White. For those of you who don't know where this is at the intersection, the ER here at Worth and Hall. This is on the Deep Ellum side of downtown Dallas. The other victim, we are told, the 4th, was taken to Methodist Hospital down in Oak Cliff. We'll give you a look at the ER right now, and I can tell you it has calmed down quite a bit, but there was a much larger than normal police presence here in the last couple of hours. Not only the security that is normally here with Baylor Scott and White outside of the ER as is necessary, but also a large number of DPD officers were here as well. Clearly not the standard protocol for what happens day to day. It would appear that they were here as they would to keep an eye on these victims coming in. But our latest information is the same, that 3 of the victims from Wilmer-Hutchins were brought here with non-life-threatening injuries, the 4th taken to Methodist on the south side of Dallas. Things are very calm here now. We have not seen families or parents arriving here yet, but we will talk to them if they want to, if and when they do show up here at Baylor Scott and White. Back to you all.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, we'll keep in touch with you. Hopefully, again, we want to reiterate everything we're hearing is all of these injuries are non-life-threatening injuries. So we may not get a specific update on their medical condition know that it's been communicated that none of these injuries are life-threatening at this point.
That is the good news. Now the next big questions on the investigative side are for police and for the school district. And how did this happen? And we can tell from the video we're seeing from our helicopter out there that law enforcement is set up to stay and will likely be there, no doubt, through the evening and into the night as they retrace this, look at surveillance video around the school, try to find out what happened. And as Chris mentioned earlier, identify the suspect. We talked to the mayor pro tem, Tanel Atkins, a little earlier, and he was telling us that he understood that police knew who the suspect was. But our sources are telling us now, as Chris reported a moment ago, that suspect is not in custody yet. So certainly that's the next big thing police want to do, is identify that person and get them in custody to get that person off the street. I mentioned this before we went off the air on TV a moment ago, but we've been talking about this here. It's certainly a huge story in the city of Dallas and in North Texas as well. But it's also making its way to Austin too. And Representative Aisha Davis, who's a state representative who represents the Wilmer-Hutchins High School and a lot of southern Dallas County, she asked on the floor of the House of Representatives within the last hour, she asked for prayers for her district, for the students, for law enforcement, for emergency responders and others. And then the Speaker of the House, Dustin Burrows, asked members to stand up there and have a moment of silence for everyone who was involved today. And, the mayor pro tem made a really good point here too. Regardless of the questions you have here, and there are a lot of questions that need to be answered, and a lot of parents deserve answers, you got to be thankful for the response that law enforcement showed. It's throw everything at it and pull it back as needed. And it appears that everything was thrown at it and everything is still on the scene as they get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, let's get back out. Brittany Moncrief is sort of on the other side of the high school. In fact, close to the elementary school, which is not far from the high school. Brittany, what are you seeing where you are right now?
So, Chris, as I mentioned before, we're still over at the elementary school. There are parents that are waiting for their students to come out of the elementary school. They tell me that they're releasing the students one at a time as their parents come up. Of course, you have to show ID and give your child's name. But also, I mentioned how there are high school students here who ran from the high school when they heard those gunshots. One of those students is Aldo, who joins me. He's a senior this year. And Aldo, tell me what happened. Your friend was actually one of those, one of the students that were shot.
Yeah, he was one of the students that were shot. I don't want to say his name or anything, but he was running behind me in the cafeteria. He got out after me and my girl got out, and he was basically asking for help. He was like, "Hey, something hit me or something," and he said, "Take off my boot so I can see it." And I'm like, thinking he's joking, but then I'm like, "Okay, let me take off his boot," and I take off his boot, and there's a big gash or wound on his leg, and he's saying it's hard to move and that eventually it ended up he couldn't feel his leg no more. And the whole situation was really just like a lot of adrenaline, and there was like you just had to act fast.
Yeah, I want to know, how are you feeling right now?
Now I'm a little bit more calm now that I'm away from everything, and that I know everybody that I'm close to is safe, and that the people that I love know that I'm safe too.
And I remember you were talking to me. You're a senior this year, so you were here last year when a similar incident happened. What's going through your mind, the fact that it happened last year and now it happened again this year?
Yeah, I was already like on edge, like not on edge, but I was already like instinct kicked in, like same with the last one. It was a different experience though, because last one I was safe in the classroom. This one I had to run, and so there was a little bit more adrenaline in that one. We really just had to book it from there. My arm, I'm not injured or anything, but it almost got caught when people were trying to run, and I almost got caught through the door.
I'm glad you're okay. I know our anchor Chris has a question for you. Chris, you can go ahead and ask your question. I'll tell Aldo.
Yeah, I just wanted to know. First of all, I'm so glad to hear that you're okay. But as for your friend, did he recognize or see the person who fired?
So Chris was asking if you did your friend recognize the person who was shooting the gun? Or?
No, I didn't ask. Like I said, it was just like in the moment I wanted to help him out as soon as I can. I didn't get no description of anybody. They were saying I was in the cafeteria. They were saying it happened in B Hall, or like close to around there. But the shots sounded they were coming from that direction, B Hall. But I wasn't able to see the shooter or anything.
And B Hall is near where the cafeteria is.
Yes.
Okay.
It's right outside.
And you all were in the cafeteria at the time, and then you took off running, and that's when you realized that your friend was hit.
Yes, I realized he was hurt somehow, and I just had to help him out.
What happened after you pulled his boot off and you were able to help him?
After that, I mean, I noticed there wasn't any like signs of he was bleeding rapidly, so it wasn't bleeding anything. It was just like a bruise from a paintball gun, almost, that it looked like either he got shot or he hit himself and he was just confused and he didn't know. I don't know. It was a lot of emotions going through that day.
And I know you mentioned that because this happened last year and then it happened again this year, there were some things that you already knew what to do. Tell me about that.
As soon as I got outside, I was able to call my mom and tell her, hey, there's a shooting outside again. And she was like, really? There's no way. And I had to tell her, I showed her everything. I was outside. And she was like, are you gonna call your grandma to come pick you up? And I'm like, well, they're not gonna let her in from the last time. And so I told her I'll just wait it out to let me see what they tell me, because I already knew I was in a safe location away from everything. So I just stayed there.
And I just have one more question, because I know you're going to go back over with your family. How did you know to come this way to the elementary school?
This way, it's because it was more. It was just away from everything, all the chaos. So it was more calm. You get to relax and just breathe and think everything through.
And you guys waited inside the elementary school until you were able to be released?
No,
or
we just ran over here.
Just ran over here. Just getting away from everything. Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm glad that you are okay. I'm glad your friends are okay, and we'll be out here. Anything you all need. Thank you. So yeah, Chris, just as you just heard, students, they're reliving, for some of them, what happened last year. And that's hard for a lot of students to go through. We had a student that was earlier today. She was so shaken up, she couldn't speak. And then you just heard from Aldo, who took off running once he heard the gunshots, only to find that his friend who was trailing behind was one of the students who was hit. So he's been waiting here to get updates on his friend. He's back with his other friends, and they're all safe, thankfully. But again, here over at the elementary school, there's still parents that are outside waiting to reunite with their students and also pick up some of their children that are over here at the elementary school. Chris?
All right, thank you very much, Brittany. Yeah, in a very high stress situation like this, I mean, your brain is shooting all of these additional sensory signals into your brain. So it's why a lot of times when people are describing what's happened, what they describe is a much longer period of time than what actually took place. It's because they're getting all of this input, and it can be really hard at the time when you're hearing a gunshot to determine exactly where it's coming from and how many you heard and what is happening in that moment.
And Chris, even though this is Texas, there are a number of people who don't know what gunfire sounds like. It doesn't sound exactly like it does in the movies and on television. It's that short pop. And when you hear multiple ones, you're like, well, that can't be what I think it is.
Yeah.
And no doubt that's probably happens in a lot of these situations. Unfortunately, these students here and many of the staff relived this from last year too. Brittany getting some of the most detailed information yet on the injuries of that one person who was shot, if indeed that was the person who took the bullet wound to his calf. I'm glad that person is okay, but to hear him describe having to take his buddy's boot off and to see the wound below there. Nevertheless, it appears that doctors at Baylor Scott & White are handling that case right now. We also saw a few moments ago on the back side of the school towards the stadium there, you could see a line of people lined up, no doubt parents there. It looks to be where a lot of the activity is from the district side and the parent side on the back end of the school there. And they were lined up in what is an orderly line. And to reiterate what we saw last year, the reunification process when there was a shooting there 1 year ago to this week, the reunification process was a lot messier then. Parents complained about it. The district promised to make this right and to fix this. And it looks like they did learn the lesson from that as well, because the reunification is happening now with the students who went out east or the west side there and the south side who escaped that way. A number of them went out the front door too, but there are a number of them still in the bleachers, and the district officials are checking identification and they're matching up the students with those parents.
Yeah, I mean, the teachers and the staff are trained. They drill on this. They know how to get students either into a secure classroom or to get them out of the school. But when something like this happens at a large high school like this, kids are in all different kinds of places. So somewhere near the front, they're just going to act on instinct and run out. Not every student is in a controlled classroom environment where the teacher may orderly, get them to a specific area. But again, to your point, the first call went out about 1:05, just after 1 o'clock. So when you account for that time in which the law enforcement has to get on there and make sure the scene is actually secure, they can't start allowing parents to come into the scene until they're absolutely sure it's secure. So if you allot for that time, I think DISD sent the notice out it's been maybe about 45 minutes now since they said, hey, it's okay now to come to the stadium where you can be reunited with your child.
And you could see those parents lined up along the fence line there to the bottom of the screen behind that tree. There's a line going all the way up through the shade there to where the police and district officials are checking identification. And no doubt a lot of those parents have questions and want to know from Dallas ISD, how in the world did this happen? Again, 1 year to the week since it happened last year. And that's what the police officers, that's what district officials are trying to figure out. Early information from the Mayor Pro Tem Tanel Atkins telling us, Cole Sullivan and other reporters there earlier, that it appears that someone may have opened a door to let this person in. There is no suspect in custody. Tanel Atkins, the Mayor Pro Tem for the city of Dallas, was saying that law enforcement was telling him that they know who the suspect is, but that person is not in custody right now. Still, this scene is going to be going on for a number of hours. Dallas got lucky today that it wasn't any more serious than it was, with 4 people taken to the hospital, one of those 4 who were actually shot.
Again, when Wilmer-Hutchins was the scene of a shooting this time last year, I can't say that enough. It's something we've heard from parents. It's something we've heard from some of the students who lived through that the first time. But this time last year, there was a student who got a gun on campus, shot a fellow student in the leg, ran out of the school. The police apprehended him about near the stadium in that area there. But at the time, the chief of police for Dallas ISD Police, Albert Martinez, he was only a couple months into the job at that point, and he said, look, this was a failure. We need to beef up our training. We need to beef up our protocols. We need this to be at a level commensurate with what TSA does. So obviously, in light of that, in light of the community forums that were convened in which parents got to air their concerns, there's going to be a lot more talk this time how this could happen 1 year later.
Yeah, a lot more questions too for those officials. We have a number of reporters who are out there on the scene. We heard from Brittany Moncrief. Kevin Reese is at Baylor Scott and White Hospital. Cole Sullivan's on the scene there at Wilmer-Hutchins, and so is Jobin Paniker, our first reporter to arrive on scene. Jobin, what can you tell us right now here in the 3 o'clock hour?
Yeah, that reunification process is still happening. It's been slow. We're seeing a lot fewer parents as they're walking through. When you're reporting on one of these scenes, it's you walk a really fine line between, reporting on the event and then being a distraction of the event and also being a part of the event. So we're trying to give people some space. We know as parents walk through with their children, they keep their head down. That is your sign that they do not want to talk. One mom yelled out to me, and listen, we have to be understanding of the emotions that are happening in these moments. She yelled out to me, "I'm tired of talking. We need more doing." And that's really telling. She said, "I'm tired of talking. We need more doing." Speaking to the frustration that a lot of parents are having. Keep in mind, after last year's incident, there was a parent community meeting where the district felt and made a pledge that we were going to be better. Last year, when we were at this event, we were at this very same spot hearing from parents who were frustrated about metal detectors, clear bag policies, how they didn't work. that reunification process last year was a mess. It took 2 to 3 hours to get that all buttoned up. We remember parents waiting outside the parking lots, having to sign the cards with their name, their students' names, their children's names, and one by one go into the main office and pick up their children. Again, that took 2 to 3 hours. It's going to be really telling if they listen to these parents in that community meeting last year to see how fluid this reunification process will be. Again, we're here on the north end where things have somewhat settled. There are a lot fewer parents coming through. We're hoping that reunification does happen, but still, we're understanding this is still a fluid scene.
Jobin Puniker there, thank you so much for that. Dia Wall was on the back end of that with the parents who were waiting to get in there. And Dia, we were talking to you earlier. There were a lot, tensions flaring, but it looks a lot more orderly right now than it did earlier, which is number one testament, I think, probably to Dallas ISD learning from last year. But number two, it's probably calming a lot of tensions, I would think, maybe with parents. Dia, can you hear us?
Anytime you get a phone call. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
We can hear you.
All right, guys. So can you hear me now? All right. So here's the deal. When you were talking about it looks a little bit more calm and a little bit more orderly, they have gotten into a little bit of a rhythm in the line. Let me kind of scoot back. We're opposite Kevin Reese. He's on the other side of this stadium on the other entrance, but you can kind of see the line there of families that are waiting. And again, we've mentioned this several times, but the process is just slow. This is not normal routine or business as usual for a dismissal. And so parents are having to walk up, show identification. They have to make sure and verify that this person has the ability to pick these kids up, and then they're walking out. And so we've just seen a variety of families come out. We've talked to students, we've talked to parents, and no one is happy with the communication and how this all kind of played out. And so there's still a few students. It's hard for me to be able to see because we have these emergency vehicles kind of blocking the view of the stadium, but the kids are sitting on the bleachers inside the stadium right now as, again, they're waiting to be picked up. So it does seem like the scene's a little more calm, but as I started before you guys could hear me, you can only imagine your adrenaline and your temperature and your worry and everything just kind of goes down when you can see your kid after a school shooting. This is not a phone call, an alert that any parent ever wants to get. And the parents at Wilmer-Hutchins have gotten it twice in a year's time. So as you can imagine, for those who were here this same time last year when there was a school shooting, there's a bit of that deja vu. And I think for some of these families, it's just a relief to be able to get their children. Yes, there are questions about how a gun was able to get inside this campus again. But more than that, what were the lessons learned on at least how to get these kids to their families in a way that's a little more organized, a little more effective in terms of communication so that people aren't panicked. I think that that's one of the big things. And even making those phone calls. I mean, we talked to several parents as well who got the initial phone call or text from their student, but no communication after that. And so this is just really a big site of not only reunification, but relief for these families, guys.
Certainly understandable, Dia. When we talked about earlier, when you're a child and you're in this high stress environment, how your perception of time kind of warps. You get a similar situation as a parent as well, because you get this phone call, as we heard earlier, when Janet Garcia talked about getting that call from her daughter Aaliyah saying, "Mom, there's been a shooting here," but then she can't get another call out, and Janet's there at the school and just waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's certainly understandable how even a matter of minutes can feel much, much longer.
And the drive that she had, I believe she was at the grocery store, right? When she got that phone call. Can you imagine the drive when you leave your cart behind and you take off? I can't imagine how long that drive must have felt to physically get there on scene. We've just gotten a statement a few moments ago from Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson, who is saying, "I am deeply troubled to learn that a shooting has taken place at Wilmer-Hutchins High School in Dallas. Our schools should never be places of violence," the mayor said. "I'm grateful," he said, "to Dallas PD and Dallas Fire Rescue for their swift response to this situation." Dallas ISD also has counselors on scene there right now as parents are picking up their children and being reunified with them on the football field there. And the counselors are from the Life Foundation. It's a nonprofit, and they have provided counselors to a number of other high-profile incidents, but they are on scene here right now for, the frustrated parents who probably want to talk this out with somebody and may just want to yell about what happened. I can certainly understand that. And for at least 4 people who have been taken to hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries, I can't imagine the drive that those parents had on the way to the hospital.
Yeah, and as we're taking a look, giving you that view of sort of from on high, I mean, you could just see that line of parents waiting there against the building, and in the line stretching against the fence line there as they wait to be reunited again. The Dallas ISD telling parents to come to the stadium, bring an ID, and they will facilitate the reunification with their child. Let's get back out to Cole Sullivan. He's been reporting from shortly after we got the call on this incident. Cole, what are you seeing from your point of view right now?
Chris, this scene is changing. Just in the last 5 or 10 minutes or so, we've seen the fire department leave this scene and the police command post come in. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see what we're seeing here. People who have been watching the stream as we've been out here for hours now can see there is a lot less of those emergency vehicles, of those first responders who are here on the scene right now. This is something that Jason and Chris have been talking about. We've seen this transition from an emergency response to an investigation here on the scene. You can see some fire officials still here, but we've seen those paramedic units, the ambulances leave. We saw fire trucks leave in the last few minutes. We saw, and I'm not sure you can make it out from this vantage point, this big black mobile command post the City of Dallas Office of Emergency Management has arrived here on scene and set up here as well to kind of provide that central location as this investigation continues. We're told that there are some federal agents here on scene as well helping with all of this. And as all of this is unfolding with the authorities changing how they're responding to this, we're seeing little by little trickles of students and parents walking away from the scene here. You can see this is a group of, I believe, educators based on their badges who are walking over this direction. We've seen school buses start to come through as well. This is a school bus over here just on the right that will pass in just a moment. You can see this is from the elementary school. And these elementary school kids are looking out the window at all of this as they're being waved by. Imagine being just in grade school and seeing all of this happen next door. We know that elementary school went on lockdown through all of this as well. When I arrived shortly after we got the call that this had happened, we saw armed police units out in front of that elementary school, which is only a football field away from the high school itself. So really close nearby. You can understand why they're put on lockdown, but a scary experience for those students who are now leaving from the elementary school on school buses, for those whose parents haven't picked them up yet, as they're kind of being bussed home as they normally would be on what is anything but a normal school day, even for them as they go by. Some of these buses don't have a lot of students on them. This one only looks like it's got 3 or 4 as they drive by here. This kind of police checkpoint that is where police had stopped everyone earlier. Now they're starting to let a little bit of traffic go through here. Parents who were able to tell these officers that they were responding, they were going to pick up their kids, were allowed to walk through this area as well. Now we're starting to see some other cars that have started going through this direction too. I still have this crime scene tape up, still have an officer kind of managing as folks come through here. But as we've alluded to for the last 45 minutes or so, this is changing into an investigation as we watch all of this unfold. We can still see that there are a lot of students who are waiting to be reunified with their parents over at the football field. This is where we've seen students kind of gathering in the immediate aftermath. When we first got here, they were spread out across the bleachers. You can kind of see from this angle where they are right now. They brought them all down close, easier to talk to folks that way. way and orderly, move them out to their families and get them picked up with their families here. That crowd has thinned out a little bit since we started talking to you, but this is a slow process of reunification, and it's not one that families want to be slow. They want to have it happen fast. And we talked about communication being an issue when this happened a year ago this week, and some of the parents still say that's an issue now. You've seen parents trying to talk with first responders and some of the officers here saying, hey, we need to be able to get through here. This is where they told us to go, and being told, no, this isn't the right direction. You have a big truck going by me here now. It might be difficult to hear me for just a moment as they're starting to let some of this traffic through. That truck was trapped in all of this gridlock, which developed as parents rushed to the scene. That truck's probably been here as long as we have as well. There's so many people now kind of starting to untangle what happened when this emergency response occurred. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Goldie. You know, it makes sense as we sort of ramp down from the initial trauma response to that. That's always the case when you have an active shooter call. But now some of those, you know, paramedics, ambulance units, they can start leaving the scene now that you know, okay, there's no more, trauma injuries here to deal with. But obviously that's sort of been replaced by more of an investigative umbrella for the police department.
Yeah, and as the investigative stage begins there with the city of Dallas's black, big RV, which is a command center where all the different law enforcement agencies can work at. There are a number of questions they want to answer immediately. Number one, likely is how did this happen? Number two, who is the suspect? Where is this suspect right now? What type of police response do we need to have going out looking for this suspect if we know who this individual is? What was the person's motive? Was this a random thing? Was this gang related, as our original reporting said as well too? And then more importantly, at the school itself, what's the evidence that needs to be photographed and collected there around the cafeteria, in the hallway by the cafeteria? And then a bigger question that the district's got to answer, likely police will tell them this, is whether the school can be open tomorrow. Even if it is open, though, you got to think, if you're a parent, are you sending your kid back to school tomorrow? I'm probably going to take a couple of days.
And we just saw, there have been several school board meetings just in the last, few days where, we had the Stabby in Frisco ISD, and they asked for the attendance waiver because, so many students just were not in the right frame of mind to go to school. And so you want to give them that time and not have that count against them, counted as not being in attendance for the school. The other thing that's, I think, interesting as well is you sort of touched on this, Jason. When you have the initial response, those initial officers who are going in there, their only focus is to find a potential threat and keep as many students and teachers safe as possible. The layer that comes in after them is the investigative effort. So in terms of collecting the evidence, were there any shell casings? Was there anything on there that may help them with the investigation? But those are two very different things, because the initial team is going in there. They don't know what the situation is inside. And so they're going in with sort of a single-minded purpose of, if there's a threat, we need to find the threat and neutralize the threat. And then we need to protect as many of the students and teachers as possible.
And those parents, no doubt, are super thankful for the law enforcement response that we have seen this afternoon from a number of law enforcement agencies. WFAA's Dia Wall is out there. She's been talking to parents all afternoon. And Dia, you've been talking to a few more since we last saw you.
Yeah, Chris, Jason, one of the parents I brought you at the height of all the confusion and not knowing where to go and getting into it with law enforcement, who was like blocking and preventing parents from getting to the stadium. We talked to Janet Garcia. Well, I just ran into her. You got your daughter, Aaliyah. Talk me through the moment when you got her.
Oh my goodness, it was such a relief. Just everything felt better. I knew she wasn't hurt. I knew she was safe. I knew she's coming home.
Now, she didn't want to come out here with you, but she did have some more information about what happened.
Yeah, so what I got to, I know her sergeant, my daughter's in General TC, and he said that they were going out to lunch, and he was putting his lunch in the microwave shutting it, and all of a sudden he just heard the gunshots, and he grabbed one of the kids and put him in the room. He said that he was able to see a hooded man or a hooded boy. There's so many different details, but I think I love how they handled it. I know this wasn't the plan either, but I know my kid was safe. They did what they were supposed to, and she's able to come home. So I appreciate them for that. I really do.
When you were talking about some of those other details, try to remember what he told you.
He was stating that he saw someone with a shotgun. It was a boy with a shotgun, hooded boy with a shotgun, and he was shooting it. And he said that someone did get shot. Someone is hurt. And he don't know anything else, but he did say that someone was shot.
Where was your daughter when all this happened?
I haven't even yet come to ask her yet. I know they were at lunch. I know the kids were at lunch when it all started. And he also said that it's kind of weird that they got in. So he's assuming maybe someone from inside let them in, but he doesn't know. So if that's the case, that's even more scary. I got to talk with a lot of more parents, and we're kind of just frustrated with the fact that this isn't the first time. And for me, I'm new to Hutchins, so I'm trying to tell them, like, maybe we could come together as parents and see what we could do, talk to the district. Maybe there's another way, because it's not working. It's not.
You know, before they came out to us, our anchors in the studio were talking about, as a parent, do you send your kid to school tomorrow?
No, I don't feel safe. My daughter doesn't even feel safe going. She did say that. She did say, I don't feel safe. And I think it's understandable, no.
So what's the feeling for you as a parent to hear your daughter say that she doesn't feel safe at school?
It's heartbreaking, because she loves school. She's an A student. She's in college courses. Like, she loves school. So for her to say, I don't want to go to school, it kind of hurts. It hurts, because I want her to be successful and, do what she's supposed to, and be whatever she wants to be.
Describe that first hug.
Oh my goodness. She was with mom. I'm like, I know, but to me, you don't understand the relief to just be able to hug you. And there's another kid in there that their mom and dad are not going to be able to hug them, But it was such a relief. Such a relief.
Man, I just want to say thank you so much, Janet. We appreciate you. You get to that baby, all right? And you enjoy the rest of your day as best you can. Always great when you can see a parent at the height of their frustration, guys, and stress and panic and worry. And I haven't been able to reach her, haven't been able to talk to her. And now she's in the car, they're going home. But to your point, you were talking about, we have to be happy as a community. These parents likely have to be very happy with law enforcement response. That's also a message that I've heard time and time again. The only frustration is in the process on how you get the kids back. The kids who, like Janet mentioned, were fortunate enough to go home with no injuries from this whole ordeal. So we'll send it back to you.
Dia, thanks so much. It is great to see Janet there reunited with her daughter, Chris.
Yeah, boy, to know Aaliyah is okay. You got to feel for her. Want to get now to Jobin Puneker. Jobin, I understand you have just learned some new information about one of the victims.
Yeah, we had a chance to talk with David Evans, who's the PIO for Dallas Fire Rescue. He just gave us this news. Again, we've been reporting this since the beginning, 4 victims. We're now hearing 3 of those victims have gunshot wounds, and one of those victims may have been a graze. We're trying to figure out what he or she was grazed by, but we have 3 gunshot victims and 1 person grazed, is what we've been told. One of the victims is of unknown age. The other 3 victims are between 15 and 18 years old, so clearly students here at Wilmer-Hutchins. We're being told of those four victims, the range of their conditions are from non-life-threatening condition to serious condition as well. So we're trying to get some more information. David Evans tells us he'll get me another update here at 4:30, so in about just under an hour. So we'll get some more information on those victims. We did ask which victims were sent to which hospital. We're hearing about Baylor and Methodist. He says he does not have that information just yet, but we'll try to get you that information.
Jobin Puneker, that's great new information, and it really changes the storyline here for us as we've been covering this for a few hours on WFAA Plus and on television as well. This is a much more serious incident than we originally understood. Jason Evans from Dallas Fire Rescue telling Jobin Puneker there that 4 people have been shot. We originally understood it was 1 person who was shot. 4 people have been shot. 3 of them with gunshot wounds were ages 15 to 18 years old. Clearly students there at Wilmer-Hutchins High School this afternoon. Another person who suffered a graze wound. The age is not known on that person, but what